welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys a whole lot for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I appreciate the support that I have gotten from all of my subscribers. I am not taking it for granted. So thank you so much, guys. So if you are new to my channel, if this is the first time of you coming across Stylish Naija YouTube channel here on YouTube, I would appreciate if you will hit on the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel. Actually takes nothing, just hit on that button on the side and then you will see a bell, a ash bell. Yeah, so just hit on that bell. If you click on the bell, that means you get an update whenever I upload a new video. You are going to be among the first person that is going to see the video. That is just the essence of hitting on that bell after clicking the subscribe button. Okay, so before we continue, if you want to register for my online classes, I usually have online classes every month. So I have 4 different classes currently that I'm running. I have the beginners class, the intermediate class, the corset class, and then is a ready to wear class for those of you that want to go into ready to wear, how to finish them properly, that you will be able to say. So you see my number scrolling through the screen. Just send me a message on WhatsApp and then I'll give you the details for the various classes, that the details. So let's just get started. Today I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew a trendy off-shoulder maxi gown, or I'm going to call it a trendy off-shoulder maxi Caribbean gown. So this gown is the moment I saw the gown, I knew that this one is a must-sew gown for me. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today, a trendy off-shoulder maxi gown, or you can call it a trendy off-shoulder maxi Caribbean gown. So this gown, you could see, it's divided into 2 parts. It's actually an off-shoulder and then it has this big balloon sleeve. So I'm going to show you how to do. We're going to be stitching everything, both the sleeves, everything on this class. So before I continue, the top part, I'm just going to do a little explanation. The top part, we're going to be cutting it like a slant A-line. It's going to be very slant, not very full A-line, and then the down is going to be straight. So it's really simple and easy. Even as a beginner, you can actually pull this off. So in the fabric, the amount of fabric that I have here is 3.5 yards of fabric, and this fabric is a fabric that has a very deep length. So the length is 60. So that's why I'm using 3.5 yards. But if you are going to be using an Ankara for this kind of gown, you are going to need more than 3 yards. Yes, because of the sleeve, you are going to need up to 5 yards if you are making use of an Ankara. So I just want you to note. So this, but for this, we are using 3.5 yards. So I'm going to fold my fabric now and then we'll start cutting and then I'll explain as we go along. So let's get started. Okay guys, so you see I've marked out the amount of fabric that I'm going to be needing for this dress. So like I said initially, I folded it. You could see the fold is actually not a straight fold, so I did like a slanted slanted A-line. So like, and this is my fabric. I just did something like this. It is very slant. You know, when you fold like this, you want to fold an A-line and then you fold like this. Let me just hide this part, and then you fold like this. This is just like a very complete A-line, and the down will be very full. But what I did for this, I just did something like this, just so you see like what I did. I just made it is not too straight. So I'm trying to hide this part. It is not too straight, so you see the down is not equal. So at the end of the day, it's just a little bit slanted. So you could see it is just a little bit slanted. That's what I did here. So and then the amount of the way I folded, I actually used the down part to fold. I used which is 20 inches, because you could see it like it is a Caribbean gown and then it is full. And then another reason why I folded at 20 inches is because of the top part. So if you notice on the chest line part, it was actually pleated a little bit. So if not, normally I would fold, since it is a free dress, I would just fold and then using the down part to fold, and then but this top part, it will not be as big as this. For this top part now, I have, that's the chest line part, I have about 17 inches. So normally I would not use 17 inches. Maybe I'll use I'll fold it maybe about 10 inches or 9. So it depends. So but now I did 17 here and then 20 on the down part. So now I have some couple of lines here which I'm going to explain. Since it is an off shoulder, I'm going to take out 5 inches from the top. You can decide to take as much as 7 inches. It depends on how deep you actually want it to be. But mine, I just want to take out 5 inches, because if you notice from the picture, it's not really a very deep off shoulder, so I'll use 5 inches. And then the next line I have here, so this is my start line. The next line that I have here is my bust line, which is 10 inches, and then I have my waistline, this part, which is 19, and then I have my hip line is 27. Even though I'm not going to need all this, I'm not measuring fitted measurement, but I'm just adding them. And then the full length of the dress is actually 60 inches. So the half cut, why I'm calling it half cut, that's where the cut is going to be. It's going to be 43 inches, and then I'm going to add 17 inches to complete the full length of the long maxi gown. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So the next thing now, we're just going to continue. So for this top part, we're just going to impute our measurement. And on the first measurement that I'm going to impute now, I'm imputing the bust measurement. So for this, since I'm going to pleat, normally I would use 36 inches, which is my bust measurement. But since I'm going to pleat it, I'm not going to use 36. So I'm going to add as much. I'm going to make it about 42 or 45. So it depends on how full you actually want it to be. So just use how full you want it to be. That's what will determine how much you would do. So for this part now, I'm going to use as much as about 45 inches. So I'm going to measure 12.5 here, because I'm going to pleat. So I'll just mark like this on this point. So you divide 45 into 4, and then you divide it into 4, and then you add your measurement. So I'm just going to add like a 1 inch allowance on this point like this. So the same measurement that I have here on the chest line points, I'm going to bring it down to my bust line. So I'll bring the same measurement down to my bust line. So I'm just going to connect like this. I'm going to connect like this. I'm just joining it together, and then from this part now we're going to measure out the shoulder, the sleeve measurement. So you remember the 5 inches that we took out, and then this is 8 inches, which I'm going to use as my regular sleeve armhole. So from this point, I'm cutting the back and the front together. Note, because this dress does not have a zipper, so the back and the front is placed together. So we're just going to just make a small slight curve here that is going to be for our armhole here. And then the next measurement, so you remember this part. So from this part like this, here's what I'm just going to do. I'm just going to create a slant like this. You understand? Just create a slant. You know this is the measurement we're using. And then on the waist and line measurement, what we have here, I'm just going to take it, because it is a very free dress, I'm going to take it to this point like this. I'm going to add about 2 or 1 inch. Just add about 1 inch to it, and then I will just slant it like this to this point like this. And then what I have here also, I'm just going to measure it again, and then I'll bring it to the hip line point like this. I'm going to add another 1 or 2 inches allowance. So it depends on how big you actually want your dress to be. So I'll just slant it like this, and then from this point I'm just going to maintain it, and then we'll take it down like this. So you could actually do that with your ruler. You could create your slant with your ruler. So I'm just trying to use free hand for this one. So you see, that's just like the shape of our dress. So we'll cut out first, and then we'll continue. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, I'm going to create out a band. I'm going to create out a band. In creating out that band, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my chest line measurement. So you see, I'll get my chest line measurement. It is that chest line measurement. That's what I'm going to attach on this point. I'm just going to place it. I'm not like placing it above. You understand? I'm going to be placing it directly like this. That is on the chest line point, and then I'll pleat this point into that part. So on the other hand, you can decide to cut out, depends on how many inches you actually want the band to be. You can decide to take it out. You can decide to take that part out. So for instance now, if I want my band to be 2 inches, this is 2 inches for my band like this. I can decide to cut this out. So I can cut it out, and then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a band which I'm going to attach to this point, and then I'll pleat this whole part like this to fit into that band. So in creating out that band, you are going to measure yourself. You are going to measure your chest line. So I'm going to just measure myself now. Okay, so in measuring the chest line, this is what you are going to do. You are just going to take your tape like this, and then you place on this part like this. That's this top part, and then you measure. So for mine, what I actually have here, I have about 10 inches. So that's what I'm going to use to create out my band that I'm going to fix here, and then I'll pleat the whole of this point into that. So let's create out the band right now. Okay, so you see I've created out 2 bands that I'm going to use. So what I did, I measured the length is about 2.5 inches, and then the width is 12 inches. You know what I need is actually 10 inches, but I did 12 so that I'll have allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to iron interfacing, because I'm not actually putting a lining on this dress. So I'm going to go and iron interfacing on this part. So this band, that is what is going to serve as the neckline. So you see what we have. This is how it's going to be like. So it's going to be like this, and then everything is going to be pleated into this part. So I'll iron interfacing, and then I'll come and pleat it for you to see. It is really simple and easy. Dress, so you could see this part I finished ironing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to create a notch here at the center like this. So you just create a tiny notch here on the center of this piece, and then you take the actual dress also and then put a notch here. So this is really simple and easy. Here's what we are going to do now. We have all of our notches. This part now I'm going to pleat like this. I'm going to pleat this part like this, just tiny pleats like this. I just pleat it tiny. And then when I get to this part, you know I actually use 12 inches. I'm going to do it, let it get to the edge of the 12 inches. So when I come back, we'll use this 12 inches part to come and form the remaining part of our armhole. So I'm just trying to check that the camera is capturing it properly. So I'll take it to the machine, and then I'm going to pleat this part now. So I'll go and do that, and then pleat this other part also on this side. You could see, so I finished stitching the top part. So you see how it is looking so beautiful. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm just going to take this part like this. This is one piece. And then I'm going to fold them together like this. And the next thing I'm going to do, this armhole, remember that armhole that we did? I'm just going to curve it from this point like this. That's this top part. I'm going to curve it. I'll use 1 inch. You know we did 12 inches for this band. So I'm going to use 1 inch to curve it into 1 inch. That's ½ inch on one side. And then the remaining 1 inch, that's what I'm going to use to stitch the shoulder. So I hope you understand what I mean. So from this part like this, you are just going to continue and then create out the armhole curve properly. So at the end of the day, you see how beautiful it is looking. So you see our armhole curve. So this is the part where we're going to attach our off shoulder sleeves to. So the same thing I'm going to do to the back piece. Okay, so we're done with that. So I can see the dress is actually looking so beautiful. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out the down part. So for the down part, what I'm going to do for the down part, in cutting out the down part, you know we actually did 43 initially, and then what is remaining is 17 inches. So for that 17 inches, I'm going to measure what I have here. So this is one piece here. That's the length is going to be 17 inches, but the width. So I'm going to check what I have here. That is what will enable me, because you know we're going to pleat this down part also. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check. You know we use 20 inches. So this is our 20 inches. So for this part, that's 20 inches on fold. That's what we have here. So for this part now, you can decide to do 40 inches. Depends on how full you want the down part that is forming the Caribbean maxi gown to form. So you are going to just use your own discretion. You can use your material, so that could be a factor for folding. So for mine, what I have here on fold, I have 20 inches. So I'm going to check what I have on my fabric, and then I will tell you how many inches and width I'm cutting out. So for this part, I already have the length. So I measured it earlier. I already have the length. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to put this on the side, and then I'm going to fold. I'm going to fold it. So I'm going to fold as I'm going to use, let me just check. Okay, so what I actually have here is 36. So I think I'm going to use the 36. So you could do 40 inches. That's like you are doubling your, as in double of the down part. So you can double it, but I think the 36 is going to be okay for me. So normally you can use 40 inches. So the length, like I said, the length is, I already have about 17 inches here. Okay, it's not really up to 17 inches, but it is okay because I have some extra allowance on that part. So I'm going to cut out right now. I'll cut out 2 pieces of this. On fold like this, I'll cut out 2 pieces. I'm going to use on each side, for each side of my dress. Okay guys, so for the down part of our dress, what I'm going to do, in order for me to know how much fabric I'm going to cut out, that's for the width, I'm going to measure the down part of what I have here on my on the actual dress. So what I have here, initially I actually used 20 inches on fold when I was cutting. So this is 20 inches on fold. So what I'm going to do now, initially I did 43 inches. So what I need left to complete it, to make it 60 inches, is about 17 inches. So you are going to cut out the width of the fabric. That's the length like this. It's going to be about 17 inches. Use your own measurement. And then for the fold, in order to know how long it will be, that's the width or the part, because this down part, we're going to pleat this piece. We're going to pleat it on this whole entire down part. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to double the amount of fabric that I have here. Here is 20 inches. So for this, I'm going to make it about 40 inches. You can make it less, depends on how full you actually want it to be. 20 inches, when you double it, it's just okay. So you see what I have here now. I have about 43 inches, so I'm going to trim out some little piece. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to I'll cut out 2 of these. So you see it is on fold. I'll cut out 2 of these, one for the front and then the back. And then I'm going to make a notch here like this on this piece. And then for the down part of this one also, I'm going to make a notch on the center also like this. And then I'm going to go and pleat them together. I'm just going to take it like this now on the machine from this part like this, and then I'm going to pleat just the way we pleated. So you just match up the center piece, that's the cut part, and then pleat the whole of this part. Now pleat it on this side using tiny pleats. You can decide to draw it as gathers, and then this side also I will do the same. So, and I'll finish and then come back and show you how it's going to look like. Okay guys, so you see I've finished stitching the down part. The next thing I'm going to do now, so this is the down part. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to join the both pieces together. I'm going to take the front piece like this, and then on this part, from this chest line part, that's from towards the armhole part, that's from this point, I'm just going to use about 1/4 of an inch like this to join the side. So you could see, so I finished stitching. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to cut out the sleeve. Okay, so in cutting out the sleeve, here's what we're going to do. So on this top part, which is the armhole part, I'm going to shape out the armhole a little bit. So in shaping out, I'm just going to take my tape like this. I'll place it on the top of the band, which is my 5 inches that I used to drop, and then I'm going to mark my armhole. I'm going to mark 9 inches. That's from this point like this. I'll mark the 9 inches, and then I'm going to curve this in a little bit more. I'm going to curve it a little bit more. So that the armhole part is not going to be tight. So you see what I have now. So I'm going to do this to the 2 sides like that. So you can do this, or you can just decide to mark out this part. So I'm going to do that later. So the next thing I'm still trying to check my chest line to make sure that we have. So you see we still have our 11 inches. I'm going to use half inch to stitch it. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut out the sleeve. So in cutting out the sleeve, it is actually a balloon sleeve. So for this sleeve, you can decide to make it how big you actually want to. But for mine now, my fabric, I've almost exhausted my fabric. So I'm going to just make use of what I have here. So I'm trying to trim it properly. So the width, the length of what I have here now that I'm going to use for my off-shoulder sleeve is about 17 inches. And then the width that I have is about 12 inches. So you can make it how big you actually want it to be. So this is really simple and easy. Here is what I'm going to do. So for this, I'm going to use almost the whole width of my sleeve. So I'm just going to take this like this now. I'm going to take this like this now, and then I'm going to place it on this part. It's really simple and easy. You understand? Very simple. I'll just bring it to this end like this of what I have like this. I'm going to place this like this. I'll just give it just like a little slant, and then with my chalk, okay, and then with my chalk I'm just going to create the curve. So for this part now, where I'm actually starting from now is about 10 inches, which is 20 inches when you open it. So I'm just going to take like this, and then I'll place like this just to get this armhole curve properly. So very simple and easy. So I'm going to mark this out, take this out like this now. So I'll take it. So this is going, so I'll just open up. So for this side now, here's what I'm going to do. I can decide to just use it block like this without shaping it, because it is actually a big sleeve. So I can decide not to shape it, or you can still decide to shape it however you want to. So for this point like this, I'm just going to measure what I have here left if I'm going to shape. So I have about 11 inches. So from this point like this, I'm just going to do it. It's just almost like a straight slanted line, and then I'm going to just open up this point like this. So this is my sleeve now. So the next thing I'm going to do now, this part now, I'm going to pleat this part to fit my round armhole, which is 10 inches. So I'm just going to pleat this part. You can decide to use an elastic, you can decide to use a band, and then this down part also I'm going to pleat to fit into my round sleeve. So this part, you can decide to do it however you want to. You can decide to, so what I'm going to do for mine, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pleat it to fit into 10 inches, because 10 inches is my round sleeve measurement. Or you can decide, better still, you can measure from the front part of your shoulder, that's this part, to the end, to the other part. So you can decide to do that. And then after pleating, I'm just going to use, I'll pleat it up to this point. I'll leave 1/4 of an inch. I'll just pleat it, and then I'll just use a strap like this, just to like a facing, just to stitch it up. So I'm going to do that now and show you. It is not difficult. And then for this down part, I'm just going to add an elastic on this down part like this. So I have a sleeve like this already on my channel, so I'm going to drop the link on the description box for you to see. Okay guys, so you could see I finished stitching my sleeve. So you see what I actually have here. So like I said, I just pleated it to fit into my round sleeve measurement. That's my round armhole measurement. That's from one shoulder to the other. So you can start from the top part of your front shoulder and then measure to the back what you are going to have. So that's what you will use. And then for the down part, you are just going to use your wrist. That depends on where you want the sleeve to get to. You are just going to pleat it. So you can decide to use an elastic for this, or you use the round sleeve measurement for this. So for this, after folding it, I just used a tiny piece of fabric just to secure the edges. That's what I did for both. So you could see it's looking like what we have there on the picture. It's just that this is just like a smaller version. So if you want to actually make such size, I think about 1 yard, you are going to use about 1 yard of fabric for each of those sleeves. If you want it to be as exaggerated as what you have on the picture, you are going to use one yard each, and that's a lot of fabric. So for this part now, so you see our sleeve, because of the way we measured it, so you see it's just going to fit in properly. So when you stitch, it's going to stay like this, and then this part is going to come like this. So you see it is really looking like what we have there on the picture. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go and fix it like this, and then I'll put it on the mannequin for you to see the final look of this our maxi gown. Okay guys, so you could see the final look of our maxi dress. So at the end of the day, my mannequin, her chest is a little bit smaller. You know, I actually used 10 inches for this part. Her chest is about 7 inches, so I had to pin this part just to make it fit into her body. So at the end of the day, so I'm just going to bring the camera down so for you to see the down part of the dress. So you see the down part of the dress. So you could make it however you want to. So for the sleeve, like I said, if you want such exaggerated sleeves, all you have to do is just use your make use of about 1 yard of fabric for each sleeve, and then you have it so big. And then for this top, for this part, so it depends on any sash of your choice. You could use any rope or ribbon. You're just going to attach it to this mid point of the, just to give it that same effect that you have on the picture. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button to make me know you appreciate what I did. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, share it with your friends. So thank you so much. And this dress can serve as a very good maternity for pregnant women and intending pregnant mothers. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video.